Star Fox. It was a title that screamed old-school space shooter monotony, but with its gripping gameplay and revolutionary 3D graphics, it blew gamers away. The N64 sequel, predictably called Star Fox 64, followed in the same vein as its predecessor and pushed the hardware even harder, delivering one of the best space shooter experiences ever. Another sequel on another console was another surefire guarantee. But a hurricane of hyperspace hype turned a few heads. A new Star Fox game was in the works, but it was not a space shooter. Huh? What? Had the guys at Rare finally lost their heads? Well, no, they hadn't. Developer Rare, in their Nintendo Swan Song, was taking the franchise over from EAD in quite a curious fashion, and Star Fox Adventures, one of the greatest gems to grace the GCN, is what we got. You started the game as Crystal, a female fox in two respects, as she investigates a distress signal on Dinosaur Planet. Meanwhile, the Star Fox team gets sent into the same planet as General Pepper outlines their mission. They need to recover a bunch of spell stones to put the exploding planet back together again, and, wait. Hold on. Dinosaurs, spell stones, a girl fox throwing exploding kegs and playing minigames? What is this? Where's the nearest hangar? I want to fly an R-Wing. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, and are you ready for this? Say hello to the villain of the game, General Scales, a tyrant soldier bent on dominating the world. Yes, naturally, that's his objective. But Scales? What about Andross, the main villain of the series? And as for your team, who's got McCloud's back on this one? Is it Peppy, Falco, or Slippy? Damn me to hell if it had been Slippy. Or how about Prince Tricky? Yes, this little Triceratop tyke was your Earthwalker escort in the game. And since for some reason Fox is walking around, I get my blaster, right? After Super Smash Bros. Had showcased Fox outside of an R-Wing, you'd only assume he was equipped with some kind of firepower. Nope, you get a staff, no blaster. Okay, so is this a Star Fox game or had we lost our minds? Well, here's the story. Rare had been working on a title called Dinosaur Planet, completely unrelated adventure title, when Nintendo basically stepped in and slapped on the Star Fox license at the last second. Shigeru Miyamoto has claimed that the reason behind the move was that Saber, the main character in Dinosaur Planet, bore an uncanny resemblance to Nintendo's Intrepid Vulpine. Whether or not Miyamoto's just sugarcoating the hard fact that they wanted the license thrown in for some extra bucks, who cares? I mean, the point is moot. Sure, many a Star Fox fan might not have had the patience to persevere with this presumed pretender, had the game not been so awesome that none of that mattered. On the gameplay side of the scale, the game was basically a Zelda clone, automatic jumping as you near a platform's edge, visiting multiple worlds from a central regional hub, and yes, even those classic overdramatic animations of picking up new items. Their surplus will drive you insane. Some basic puzzles also followed the Zelda formula, nothing that was ever too challenging, but enough to keep the pace fluid. And generally, just in the feel and the look of the game, this felt more akin to a Zelda title than Rare's previous platformers like Donkey Kong or Banjo-Kazooie. So to get the planet stable again, you needed to visit each of 4 quarantined quarters drifting in orbit. That's when it's time to get back in the R-Wing. Oh yeah! But only for a minute or two. But it was a nice cameo. The only other real tedious task in the game was always needing to collect and buy items. Not just because of those constant unskippable animations, but because you always found yourself backtracking to the Thorntail Hollow store, who was run by this really shady floating T-Rex magician. I don't know how else to describe him. Strangely enough, the adhesive that held Adventures together was not the gameplay, but rather its presentation. This was and still is an absolutely gorgeous game, from the lavish environs to the character models. Coming back to Zelda, day-to-night cycles made the world feel alive and organic. It was rich with detail and texture. Fox looked fantastic. I mean, his dialogue didn't exactly back it up, but his new character design was just awesome. I mean, it's so awesome. Look at the fur on him. That is attention to detail, and you would expect nothing less from Rare. A flawless frame rate served up the cherry, as you'd very seldom encounter any manner of choppiness. It was just smooth soaring. The VoiceWorks cheesiness could get a little irksome at times, but that was mainly the dialogue. The actual voice talent was so crisp and complementary to the visuals that any serious complaint would just be a nitpick.
It was your mother that sent me to find you.
Is she okay?
She'll be just fine. But we need to get you home.
Here's your bottom line. Adventures production values saved the Lilat system. It's tough to take that it's been almost 10 years since Fox McCloud touched down, but man, it doesn't show it. Star Fox Adventures is an absolute timeless gem that stands as the perfect send-off for the Nintendo Rare partnership. A Zelda derivative, to be sure, Adventure's gameplay was a far cry from the 16-bit missile madness of the original, but it was executed with enough confidence that McCloud was never stuck trudging the retro rut of Link's Legends. It was fresh, it was fun, and it was jaw-dropping gorgeous. But most importantly, it translated a franchise across genres with genius, giving you a game that really had nothing to do with Star Fox at all, and yet it still managed to do justice to the characters and mythos. Nostalgic Nintendo nerds and all those who missed this back on release in 2002, climb back into that R-Wing, or rather, climb out of it, and remember Rare's final foray into awesome adventures.